Hello everybody and welcome, excuse me, to another video. And today I'm going to do something a little bit... Be quiet. I'm going to do something a little different. I don't think I've ever actually done it before. And I'm actually going to be checking out a piece of music by one of my viewers. A little while back I covered a track by Lung, the black metal band who did the intro music for my videos, and one of my viewers commented below that they'd watched the video, noted the fact that I had very hit and miss opinions about black metal, and were like, I was going to ask you to have a look at a piece of my music, but I don't know if I want to now because you have very strong opinions on black metal. And I was like, do you know what, let me have a look anyway. I'll be honest, but I'll be kind. So they sent me a piece of music. Now, obviously, in this case, I couldn't do any research, so we struck up a conversation, and he told me a little bit about the band. And the band is called Isenvinter, or Isenvinter, one of the two. And it's a newly created one-man melodic black metal band from Copenhagen, Denmark. Created by guitarist Peter Sodborg, who is obviously the guy that I've been speaking to. Well, Peter Sodborg Christiansen, sorry, beg pardon. Many of the riffs and ideas for these pieces of music are taken from old tracks from around 1996 to 2000, when he was the lead guitarist and songwriter for another black metal band called Witchclad Widow. That band, however, never actually released any material. So now, some 25 years later, he wanted to do something with all the material that he'd created over the years, you know, taking his old riffs, his old lyrics, you know, maybe sort of remixing them, putting them back together and making something new. You know, didn't want all those ideas to go to waste, which is a great idea. You know, he wanted to bring some new fresh blood to them, as he put it. Now, he says the style is melodic black metal with Danish and Scandinavian folk influences with acoustic guitar parts. The inspirations behind the music are Scandinavian folk metal, older style Viking black and folk metal like Falkenbach, Mythotin, I think I pronounced that right, and Forlorn, Isengard, you know, just sort of melodic black metal in general. The name means Isenvinter, although he's just added an en in there. I'm assuming it's supposed to be Isenvinter normally, but he's added the en with, you know, to take inspiration from Isengard, that sort of thing. As of this moment, he does pretty much everything for the band. You know, he makes all the music, he programs the drums. He's hoping to get a session drummer soon. And yeah, he's got maybe 3 tracks in the works to create an EP, which will hopefully be out either by the end of the year or the start of next year. So, as I mentioned at the beginning, he was very dubious about letting me look at this because I mentioned in my Lung video that I have very strong opinions about black metal. You know, there's the black metal that I call bathroom black metal that, you know, sounds like it's been recorded by 3 different people in 3 different houses. You know, it's got a very sort of low quality sound and is generally pretty uninteresting. Then you've got the decent black metal, you know, the stuff that's well produced. It's coherent, it's not just the same single riff playing throughout the entire thing. You know, it's got a bit more to it. And then you've got the overproduced stuff, which, you know. But anyway, we've covered black metal on this channel quite a few times, and my opinions on black metal are quite well established. So anyway, excuse me, hold on a sec. Anyway. We'll jump into this track. What is the track called? The track is called And So the Night Became. Now, this is a visualizer / lyric video, but I do also have lyrics here that come directly from underneath the video on YouTube, which of course will be linked in the description below as usual. So we'll jump into this and see what we've got. So, And So the Night Became by Isenvinter, or Isenvinter, either way, I'm not sure. Let's have a look. Well, there you go. And so the night became by Isenvinter, or Isenvinter, either way. Now, what can I say about that? I'll say this. I actually quite liked it. I will say there are certain elements of bathroom black metal about it, but that's kind of forgivable in this sort of circumstance. You know, I don't necessarily hate bathroom black metal, as I call it. I just, it's just not something I can generally get into. But this is a different piece of music. Like I said, this has elements of bathroom black metal to it. Like, there's a certain lo-fi sound to it. You know, the sound of the music and then the sound of the vocals. There's a difference between the two when it's come to mixing. You know, something doesn't quite sit perfectly, if that makes sense. But again, that doesn't mean it's a bad piece of music. It still sounds like a good piece of music. I actually quite like it. Musically, it sounded really, really good. You know, it's very well performed. Although saying that, the actual intro to the song, there's that intro riff, pretty typical black metal, is a bit repetitive, in my opinion. You know, I mean, it goes on for quite a few bars, and there's not really any variation in that space of time. It just seems to be the same riff for X amount of bars. You know, it's a little bit repetitive, but again, this is another common theme within black metal. A lot of their riffs are either quite long or they're quite repetitive and, you know, used for a long time. So again, this isn't necessarily the fault of the actual music. No, I wouldn't say fault, because that makes it sound like it's a bad thing. You know, it's not. Can't think of the word I'm trying to use. But, you know, it's a common trope within black metal, so it's understandable why it's happened. It's just one thing that's always bothered me a little bit about black metal is it can get a bit repetitive at times. But saying that, after we actually get into the song, there is a lot more variation within the music, so it can be forgiven. And the actual music itself is, you know, it's quite good. It's got a nice sort of melodic sound to it, you know. The instrumentation sounds really, really well done. There was a point where some strings came in. I was actually trying to listen as to whether I thought they were digitally performed or actually proper strings, because I checked out a piece of music maybe a week or two ago which had strings in it, but they were very obviously, you know, synthesized strings, whether it was from a keyboard or, you know, produced via a computer. They were very obviously digital strings. This one, it wasn't as easy to tell. I was trying to listen, but I couldn't tell whether or not they were genuine strings or if they were synthesized. So, you know, the instrumentation sounded really good. The riff sounded really good, and there was a point about maybe a third of the way into the song where in came some sort of Scandinavian / Gregorian chanting, which I wasn't expecting, and it sounded really good. It actually worked very, very well within that piece of music. It worked very, very well at the point that it was introduced into the song. It's a shame there wasn't a bit more of it, actually, because I really liked the sort of atmosphere that gave. But you know, that's the way it is. The vocal performance, again, this is. It's a sort of thing. Well, I mean, the whole piece of music overall is sort of what I'd expect from a debut EP from a black metal band. You know, a black metal band that's trying to find its feet, and they've produced their first EP like in their bedroom or something like that. You know, there's a certain way that the mixing's done, which, you know, it sounds a little. You know, it's not bad. It just there's something about it sounds a little bit off. Whether it's like there's too much of one instrument coming forward or whatever. You know, there's a specific sound to black metal that's been produced this way. You know, but again, like I said, it's not necessarily a bad thing. You know, it still sounded like a good piece of music. So, you know, it did sound like a pretty typical black metal first EP sort of sound, and the vocals, I think, really speak to that. ironically. Because, again, there's a certain sort of sound to it. Because the vocals themselves, they almost... I don't know how to put this. They kind of sounded muted. But obviously they weren't, because, you could hear them fairly clearly. But there's something about the sound of the vocals. They sounded maybe flat is the word I'm looking for. Like maybe the microphone that they were using didn't have a high enough dynamic range to actually pick up on the nuance of the actual vocal performance, because they did sound quite flat. It was kind of monotone, if that makes sense. It was like blah 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 sort of thing. There wasn't any sort of variation in pitch or whatever with the actual vocals. Again, though, that might be the sort of style that they were going for. Like I said, it sounds pretty typical of a black metal band's first EP sort of thing. And again, you got to give it to people that do this. A one-man project is not an easy thing to do. I've been trying to do one for bloody ages, but of course that could also just boil down to my incredible lack of musical talent. I can write songs, I can sing songs, but I cannot play instruments. I'm hopeless, but I'm learning. But anyway, so the actual song itself, I kind of get the impression it's about maybe werewolf lycanthrope sort of thing. It doesn't specify directly that it's that sort of thing, but that's the sort of impression that I get from the lyrics. I could be way off base, I could be completely wrong, it could be something completely different. But of course the lyrics were on screen, but we'll talk about them anyway. It says, I am restless at day until the light fades away. I thrive best in the dark with my skills and my heart. This is where I belong, under the stars until I am gone. This is not yet the end. I'm hungering for more darkness and flame. And so the night became a part of me in some way. There's something about the sky which keeps me alive. So those first three, I say verses, there's a bit of chorus thrown in there. It sort of hints towards a sort of creature that comes out at nighttime, whether it be a werewolf or even a vampire, or, it could just be some nocturnal thing. I'm restless at day until the light fades away. So, of course, throughout the day, there's sort of hiding away in darkness and shadows, either locked in a tomb or, maybe just throughout the day they feel uncomfortable because, at nighttime when it goes dark, they can become their natural form, and that's where they're more comfortable, possibly. It says that I thrive best in the dark. Again, this sort of thing can be likened towards vampires, werewolves, that's other night-dwelling creatures. Excuse me. It says, this is where I belong, under the stars until I'm gone. This is not the end, hungering for more. And that's, again, that could be werewolves, lycanthropes, vampires, that sort of thing. And so the night became a part of me in some way. So, that almost throws me towards the vampire sort of thing, because of the I am the night sort of thing. It says the night became a part of me in some way. It kind of leads me to that I am the night kind of thing, but that's kind of cheesy. But again, that could also lead towards the werewolf lycanthrope thing with the whole full moon coming out at night time, and that's what makes them become who they are. And even there's something about the sky that keeps me alive. That could be something about the sky. It could well be the big fucking moon that turns you into a werewolf. That could be. I'm not saying that necessarily is what it means, but it kind of hints very loosely towards it. This is where I get strong. Under the moonlight, I sing this song. This is where I found peace. Out in the open, I listen to the trees. So this very bit here just really hints towards werewolves here. You know, this is where I get strong. Under the moonlight, I sing this song. So, of course, like, the moon comes out, the guy goes, "Oh, I'm a wolf now." And then he's, you know, under the moonlight, I sing this song. So this could be the howling and braying of the wolves. You know, this is where I get strong. You know, the moonlight turns him into this powerful creature, you know, that sort of thing. Out in the open, I listen to the trees, you know, so he might not necessarily go out hunting. It's just where his natural environment is. So, you know, the forest and whatever, that's, you know, where he feels at home, where he feels comfortable. It's his natural sort of environment. That night when the sky seems so bright, when the fog lifts and gives room for light, as my shadow is in line, I worship the vision divine. Again, the vision divine could be in reference to the moon. You know, I worship the moon because I am a wolf, you know, and this is what makes me become me. This is what turns me into who I really am. This is, you know, what gives me the strength, gives me the power that I crave. And then it goes back into the sort of chorus kind of bit. It says, "This is where I belong, under the stars until I am gone. This is not the end. I'm hungering for more darkness and flame. And so the night became a part of me in some way. There's something about the sky which still keeps me alive." So there you go. So like I said, it sounds and it sort of very strongly hints towards werewolf lycanthropy sort of thing. I actually spoke about this in, I think it's the latest Ghosts of Atlantis track, Lycon King. There is a difference between werewolves and lycanthropes. You know, werewolves have no control over their transformation. You know, when the moon turns full, they turn into a wolf. They have no control over it. Lycanthropes can change from man to wolf form at any time. They don't need the full moon to do it. So there you go. The more you know. Oh dear. But like I said, the song sort of hints strongly towards the sort of werewolf thing. It might not necessarily be the case. Realistically, I probably should have actually asked, because he did say, "Would you like to know what the song's about?" And I don't know whether it was because it was like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning that I was talking to him and whatever. But anyway, I probably should have found it out. But like I said, it sort of hints strongly towards that sort of thing. And it's not exactly an unknown subject for black metal to be touching upon. But yeah, you know, I quite liked it. You know, like I said, it's got elements of black metal, bathroom black metal in there. But for the most part, it was a pretty well produced piece of music. Like I said, you've got to give credit to these people that are creating a piece of music by themselves. You know, they're doing all of the instrumentation, they're doing all of the mixing, they're doing all the production sort of side of things. So, you know, you've got to give them credit, because it takes a hell of a lot of work and a hell of a lot more talent than I have. So yeah, but like I said, that initial opening riff was maybe a bit repetitive. You know, could have maybe had a little bit of a twiddle every now and then. But again, you know, it's not an uncommon thing in black metal for that to be the case. So, you know, what the hell do I know? And, you know, like I said, the vocals themselves could maybe have done with a bit more sort of variation in sort of pitch, rather than just being a sort of monotonous, sort of flat sound. But again, another common thing when it comes to black metal. So overall, you know, I generally quite liked it, you know, and, you know, all credit towards the guy. You know, he's had these pieces of music sitting around for about 15 years, and he's finally gone, "Do you know what, I'm going to do something with this. You know, I put a lot of time and effort into making these. I'm not just going to let them sit and disappear and rot away. I want to actually use them and make something of them." And, you know, fair play. You know, if you've got the talent, if you've got the skill, why the hell not? So, yeah, I don't know what else I can say about that, so I will leave that as it is. And now, if you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a like, maybe even subscribe if you're not already, because it would really help me out. As it stands at the moment, only 9.5% of the people watching my videos are actually subscribed, which is a bit disheartening. But, you know, I put a lot of time and effort into making these videos. I spend ages, like, researching them. I spend a lot of time editing and whatnot, and I'm putting them out on YouTube, and people just aren't watching them, or if they are watching them, they're not liking and subscribing, and it's making my videos just sort of disappear into the background, which is, again, quite disheartening, because I put a lot of effort into them, and people aren't getting to see them because the algorithm's going, well, nobody's watching this, I'm just going to hide it away in the back somewhere. And then 3 months down the line, I'm getting a message from someone saying, oh, I just found this video that you made about a song I wanted you to look at. When did this come out? Oh, I put that out 3-4 months ago. And it's like, oh, right, I didn't know that because it disappeared. So if you could like and subscribe, it really would help me out. It doesn't cost you anything, it takes a fraction of a second, and it really does help. But that's all I've got for you today. Thank you all very, very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.